Okay, let me share the PowerPoint. Yeah, you can see the screen. Now it should be full screen, right?
Yes, it looks good.
Okay. So I will just present and talk about some things that I have prepared. But I guess you can just interrupt me or make questions or raise your hand, and let's have a discussion like I would be there, and we could have a nice dialogue and so on. So feel free to interrupt me and ask if you want any information regarding something that I am talking about.
Yeah, good. And just give you the setting at the moment, it's me, Tina, and Bedur in the room, and Ashok and Aletta, they are on Zoom somewhere. And Anna Ekedal will probably join us, but a little bit late, and Johan Schneider as well. So anyway, there are a few people here, so
that's good. That's good. Nice to see you. I know from the ones here I've met Mats and Aletta sometimes physically, but with Tina we have exchanged some emails, and Deborah I haven't met you as far as I remember. And Lars, okay, yeah, but nice to see you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure and nice to see familiar faces as well. It's been a long time since the last time I saw you, Mats and Aletta. Hope to see you soon in person. Yeah, yeah.
This is me speaking, Bedur, or I go by B. Hi.
Hello.
Just a quick question. Are you going to come to IRISI in Finland? The conference?
I haven't decided, to be honest, yet.
Yeah.
But it can be an option. Yeah.
It would be nice, like, to know that whether or not you're going to go there, and then we can have a conversation about your work, because it's very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I'll let you know. Okay, so my name is Sofia. My last name is Papavlasopoulou. It's a long last name. I always say that when I start the presentation, and many people ask me, how do you pronounce it? I come from Greece. And in Greek language, it's quite common to have these long last names. Yeah, but Sofia is simple and easy, I guess, for people to remember. And I'm associate professor at the Department of Computer Science. We call our department ED, and it's at NTNU. It's a university. It's the technological university, the biggest one in Norway, as far as I know. Yes, also Oslo is also quite big, but I guess that NTNU is quite famous and has a good reputation for technology-related studies. And yeah, I met Mats and Aletta when we were working together in a project called Come and Play, and I was a PhD student back then. Things happened quite fast in my career. I finished my PhD in 2019 in September. Then I did a postdoc, and then I got the associate professorship. I felt like the postdoc was, I started, and then after a while, it was also the pandemic. So many people were saying, yeah, it's the opportunity to travel, write many papers, and just broaden your focus of from the PhD. But then with the pandemic, I couldn't do any of this. So I had decided that my first, let's say, wish was to find a permanent position and be associate professor, because in Norway, we start with associate professor, not assistant professor. So I started applying, and then I got the position. I was very happy about it. So it's been almost 2 years in this position now. So I come from this very beautiful place, in my opinion. It's Corfu. You can see the map here in Greece. We are like a quite popular, I would say, island for some people to visit for summer holidays. For Greek standards, it's a big island, so during winter there are many activities that are happening. So I grew up there in the city. Of course, not very big, but still not an isolated small island in Greece. And I still visit, of course, during summer. Very sunny, very beautiful. I enjoy the weather there every time I go. My family is there. I have nieces and nephews, and I'm really happy when I go. And I moved to this place completely different. Snow up to the north in Trondheim in Norway. During winter, the darkness comes. And it was, in a sense, I would say it was exotic because depending on where you grow up, what is exotic for people is different. So for me, that I didn't have experience with the snow and with heavy winters, it was quite of a change. But I love the city; it's really beautiful. To be honest, all the stereotypes, that come sometimes from different cultures or Europe, the North, the South, and so on. Yeah, some things might be a bit true, but in a sense, they were telling me, oh, you will go there, it will be very isolated, people are cold and not so open. But I don't know, for me, it worked out very well. And I enjoyed and I still enjoy very much the atmosphere and the people, and I'm very happy in Trondheim and in general in Norway. So this is why I decided to stay and apply for associate professor here. So this is a bit of showing our university where we are. The NTNU is, in a sense, it had its core a university in Trondheim, but recently a merge happened, and we have other two campuses in other two cities, Ålesund and Gjøvik. And we all have our motto, knowledge for a better world. And they have also an office in Brussels. So when we present that, we should include this as well. I already talked a bit about my background. So I wanted to become a teacher. So I liked a lot mathematics and sciences, and I'm like, yeah, okay, what can I study? So if I change a bit my mind after, and I don't want to become a teacher, I will study something that then possibly can open a bit the horizon for me, that I could jump into something else maybe. So then I decided to study mathematics because at that time it seemed to me a good option. Also, if I wanted to go to economics, to statistics, to computer science, and something else. So I graduated from the University of Athens and the Department of Mathematics there. And then I said, okay, I go back to Corfu, and I started working as a teacher for a while. But we have the Onion University there and the Department of Informatics that had a master's program. And I'm like, okay, it was also free. I could fit it into my teaching, and why not? Let's do it. I didn't have a very planned schedule in my mind back then that I will take a PhD afterwards or so on. I'm like, okay, good opportunity to learn something and study and broaden up the horizon and my thinking and all these things. So I just did it because I was interested. And then while studying there and writing my master thesis, and at that time I did a thesis on information systems. That's also why, if you check a bit my profile in Google Scholar, I have some papers on information systems, because my master thesis and what I did back then, it was more related to information systems. So I still collaborate with some people, so we kind of still publish a little bit. But of course, afterwards, I decided to take a PhD degree in teaching and education aspects. So this is where I position myself mainly. So in that university in Corfu, a friend of a friend, they told me that it was this Greek professor, Mikhail Giannakos, in the university of in one university in Norway. I didn't know where, and all this. And together with Letizia Iaccheri, they are looking for a PhD candidate. Personally, I was also in the stage in life with, I felt like the circumstances were a good fit. So I decided, okay, I will apply. Worst case, I will not get the position, who knows? Or if I go there and I don't like it, I will come back and I do what I was doing before. The background was that I had broken up with a boyfriend back then, and I saw this a good, karma in a sense, just to give some personal background. And then here I am, some years later. So it turned out very well. And as I said, I completed my PhD in September 2019. So in our department, we have groups. So we all belong to Information Systems and Software Engineering group. And within that bigger group, we have created our own lab. Of course, the head of the group and the one who created it is Mikhail Giannakos, and we call it Learner-Computer Interaction Lab. We have wonderful people that we work with, Xiti, Elias, Boban, Julia, Serena, and me. And now we have new PhD students who just joined, Isabella and Andrew. And we are very happy because we see our group growing, successful PhD candidates completing it, nice people to work with, and we are very happy. My research areas and interests, if I would put like an umbrella about it, is child-computer interaction, K-12 computing education, design and development of educational games for STEM education. Here I broaden a bit my research, learning technologies, and I have experience with both qualitative and quantitative data analysis and methods, and I have used a lot in my PhD, mainly the design-based research approach. So how it all started, I decided a bit to include some slides from my PhD. I thought this would be helpful also for the PhD students who are here or will probably see this lecture, since it's not that long ago since I completed my PhD. So I wanted first to see what happens. I will tell it in simple words regarding the maker movement. So in 2015 that I started the PhD, that was a big thing in the educational aspect. So lots of tools, lots of possibilities started coming up, both in school and out of school contexts. So I did my systematic literature review as a first year PhD student on the maker movement, and specifically how we can design meaningful learning experiences for young students. And then after finishing it, I had so much things to do. Of course, I had to limit down because in the PhD time, you cannot do everything, but it was a really nice start, I would say, because I saw the different possibilities that I could focus on afterwards. I think that's part of the PhD process. And here you can see like the completed puzzle of all the research on the 4 years of the PhD. So I used the design-based research approach, starting with a systematic literature review, and then we did 3 cycles of research studies, and from the one to the other, we were doing the refinement of design. So we were changing the design, both into the research design and also if we had an artifact that we had to use as well, we're taking that into consideration. And we were moving on from the feedback from the first cycle. And then the last step was to extract and find the design principles, both having the theoretical and the practical impact. Most of the studies, and what also triggered my interest, was this workshop called Kudeløypa. I'm sure I don't pronounce it well in Norwegian, no matter how many years I am in Norway. So the university had a workshop for 15 years old students, and they did it as part of an action at NTNU in general. So some departments like biology, chemistry, and us, computer science, they had these programs that schools from the region, if they wanted to participate, they were registering to bring their class for one day to be introduced into some activities. So for us, it was a programming workshop, started for 15 years olds, but during the years, we also did studies from 8 to actually almost to 17, 18 years old students. And I have to say that doing research in this from 2015 up to now, I could see a really, really big change every year. So when I started in September 2015 and I went to this workshop and I gave a very simple questionnaire at that time for the students to fill in, they even asked me, programming? What is programming? I don't know about that. And I had this realization that I was in Norway in 2015, and many students didn't know. Of course, some of them knew, but it was not very popular at that time. And then suddenly, the next year and the year after, all these coding clubs started to exist. All the students, even at the age of 12, knew about Python programming, and really the evolution was quite fast and very interesting to experience that from my perspective. So the way we designed these workshops, of course, it was not only me that did that. They were mainly the instructors of these workshops, which are our students or students from the teachers education department, if I'm not wrong, that they have this specialization into technology. So they created these nice leaflets, and that they had the instructions for the students. And what they did is that they made some kind of animals from recycling materials from computers, and they put on them Arduino, some LED lights, and they used Scratch for Arduino to control some kind of movement of the robots and turning on and off the lights. So this turtle, for example, could turn around, like make circles. The swan in the middle was moving the tail, and the owls were moving the wings, if I'm not wrong about it. So, and many more kind of cute robots that the students were not afraid, especially the ones that had no idea about programming before. They were not afraid to touch them, to see where Arduino is, to see how the Arduino looks like, and how the circuits were made for the lights to turn on and off. So that was the first part of the workshop, that they had to interact with these robots and experiment a bit the block-based programming using the Scratch interface. And they liked it a lot. The feedback we got was really nice, and it helped almost everyone in the class to get familiarized with Scratch and programming. But then we go to, after this first experience that they had for 1 hour and a half, the main activity was for them to create a game using, again, the Scratch interface. So we had made some instructions. So they could use the the basics and find some characters and make a simple game. But with the help of the instructors, they could create whatever they wanted. So the concept was that, yes, they had the leaflets with some information on how to do it and some instructions, and then each team, because they were working in teams of 2 or 3, could do as much as they wanted, depending on their experience, depending on what they knew from before, or how much they wanted to experiment with the tool. And the instructors were going on demand to each of the teams, helping them individually. So it was not in a form of lecture or something, and not that all the teams need to have the same game or similar. They just needed to have something functional. And what helped them a lot was that we told them that it's nice to create something that the other students can also play your game at the end of the activity. So during the years, of course, we were changing a bit the design and the scope each time of the workshop. For example, we did one that was dedicated only for girls, and it lasted for 2 full days. And in that workshop, we were a bit more structured in a sense, because we found out from the first cycle that it helps a lot. One thing was to give them a specific theme for the game creation. And at that time, we were discussing about environmental issues and sustainability aspects. So the games that they were creating had this as a topic. Also, the fact that we had 2 days with the girls, we asked them the first day to create a paper-based, not prototype exactly, but design of the game. And it was really amazing that we saw the next day that they were doing exactly the same in the Scratch interface. And that was quite fascinating to see how much dedicated they were to stick to their design, and saw this transition from the paper-based design to the digital one. And we included some presentations as well that motivated them even more, some exercises on the Scratch that helped even the girls that they didn't know anything before about programming to get used to it and contribute equally with the others. And the outcome was really good, because we had only 10 participants. But this helped us to get in depth into the interaction that they had, both with the Scratch, with each other, to monitor their collaboration and many other aspects for our research. Then another thing that we did, and now I think it was very brave at that time, was that now Xiti Sarma is our colleague, but at that time I was a PhD student and he was a visiting postdoc. So he had a lot of experience in eye tracking with adults. And at that time, Mikhail Yanakos told us, oh, well, we have this nice idea, Xiti can visit us, so it would be nice for us to try this with children, because we haven't found any literature that had used eye tracking in coding experiences for children. And we did it. It was quite successful, but we had even very practical issues sometimes. For example, here you see this picture. I put it because this girl is very young. She's one of the youngest participants, 8 years old. And really the glasses, they were very big for her. And, you know, me as a researcher, I'm like, oh my God, this is not going to work. My data are not going to be good enough. But of course, when you work with children, you realize that this is part of our reality, and we need to deal with it. But she was really committed, and she was even holding them to be able to not take them off or continue having it as the rest of her group that they were working together. Also, another thing that we had to do is on all the materials that I described before, the robots, the leaflets, the screen that they were programming in the computer, we had to put these black and white tags, because this is what the eye trackers recognize. So in order for us to see where the kids were looking at, we had to dress all the materials with these black and white tags. So here I just put a slide with pretty much, not everything, but most of the data collection instruments we have used and what we wanted to investigate throughout the years. So a big part was the association between gaze and attitudes. So from the eye trackers, we could see where they were looking, for example, but also to see the cognitive load from the pupil depilation. And it was very interesting to see if there is any association between the attitudes, if they were excited, if, for example, their heavy cognitive load had an impact on how happy they were, or how they were behaving during the coding. And for that reason, we did a post-attitudinal questionnaire with this smilometer, quite famous for research with kids. Then we also wanted to see if there is any difference between the coding behavior, and by that, in this specific study, the coding behavior was how they were looking at the screen while they were coding, for example, with when they used the eye trackers, and we could monitor how they were navigating while they were creating the games. And we did a pre and post knowledge acquisition test to understand what they have learned from the workshop. Another aspect was the collection of the games that they created in Scratch, because collecting them, it helped us to see all the variables and how complicated were the games that they were creating. Of course, in the context of shorter, like 5 hours workshop, or the longest one that, as I said, we did with girls. So the results were different. And we did a lot of, we experimented a lot of the gender differences. And I have to say that one outcome was that girls compared to boys, they didn't have any difference into the actual coding behavior when we used the eye tracking data to analyze them. So really, for example, the transitions between the different areas and the way they were coding didn't show any difference. But the big difference was coming when we analyzed the interviews and the observations, because we were seeing, and actually we were able to document this from the data, that girls, they sit in teams of 3, and they really were splitting the roles, that you will do the design, then you will try to do this part of the game. And they were giving the opportunity to all of them to program. And another thing was that the boys were just skipping the design part and quarreling over the mouse of who will program the most. So what we were suspecting, in a sense, it was visible also in the data analysis. But it was really interesting to combine those two and see that the objective data from the eye trackers were giving evidence that there are no differences in that. But then getting deeper into the interviews and observations, we could realize that the approach is different. This is a bit of an overview, like what was the last part and one of the contributions of my PhD regarding the design principles. And by design principles, we talk about how to make an activity, a coding activity, more attractive and more efficient for children, both in the educational part, but also on how they experience it as a holistic activity that has many aspects. So just briefly saying a few things about it. We saw that it plays a really important role to enhance the social interaction and collaboration. It was really, really impressive to see how they interact. So when they work in teams. So even a bit of anecdotal data is that even having two boys and a girl at the age of 12 or 13, the boys wanted to help the girl, for example, to learn. So there are things that play a role sometimes, and we need to take that into consideration because we need to think of how the dynamics work in that aspect. Or if you have a team only with girls or only with boys, then this will have a different role. The other one is the appropriate design according to age. This came mainly, but not only, from eye tracking data when we compared the coding behavior in the screen with teenagers and younger students. So it was really evident that the younger students were focusing a lot on the aesthetics, on how the character will look like. So it became apparent that we need really to have a more structured approach when we talk about younger children, which was in a sense expected, but it was quite interesting to see what kind of support we could give them to have a good outcome and actually learn from this coding experience. Then regarding the duration of the activity, of course, having more time has a good impact most of the times, because having this workshop for 2 days with girls, then we saw how much they were engaged. Although at the beginning we were thinking that the second day maybe only half of them will show up, which they didn't, but I mean, all of them were there, but it is a bit tricky and needs a quite thorough thought to understand the target age of the students, the context, and everything else to make a proper decision according to what someone wants to do regarding the duration of the activity. Another thing is related activity to meaningful content. Again, seeing that when you give to the children a specific goal, like the environmental aspect or something else, then it becomes interesting to see how they will help themselves around this context and what ideas they will come up. But also sometimes they might feel like, oh, I don't want to do that. And we saw that sometimes with boys, that many of the games were related to football. So they were trying to fit whatever we were telling them to do onto a football kind of context, or to, you put a goal, the player puts a goal, and then that's how you, I don't know, collect more rubbish from that kind of thing. So they were really trying hard to make what they had in mind to fit in what we were asking them. But in general, we saw that it was a good aspect to have a meaningful content depending on what is the focus. Regarding the physical and the digital artifacts, we saw that it really made a difference when the activity had these robots that we had created, and also when the kids could see the physical aspect of what they were programming. And I know there are many more tools now available, and Lego Mindstorms that they have these functionalities, but it's not difficult even with one Arduino and some simple materials to build something physical and tangible for the students to interact. Another aspect is the attitudes and motivation. So it's very interesting to have fun during this kind of out of school activities. Not every teacher might like it. Not every context is good for that. And then there's a line between how much fun this is and if we get the comment that this is possibly a bit ridiculous or this is not learning. So we need to be aware of that. Avoid cognitive load during the activity. That was really helpful that we did eye tracking studies and we could associate it with the cognitive load. So really when they were staring, just a simple example, when they were staring at something, then they were getting frustrated, they were distracted, and they needed more effort from the instructors or from the children to get back into the task. Include appropriate tasks. This is quite, oops, sorry, I changed the slide accidentally. Include appropriate tasks. Of course, this can be taken as generic as someone wants. And the last one is the meaningful framework for the involvement of instructors. This is quite interesting because for me, when I started discussing with the instructors of the activity, because I didn't want to be also the one who was leading these kind of activities and keep the researcher role in that, mostly because I was not even able, because I didn't speak the language and practical things, but also because as researchers sometimes it's good for us not to be too much into the process. It is challenging to involve the instructors, and one of the challenging aspects is also for them to understand the importance of the research, because we need to find a good common understanding of what is possible for them to do and what is good for us for the data collection. Because one ambitious task that I had to do was to ask them every, I don't remember, it was 45 minutes or 1 hour, to stop what the kids were doing in order for me to save the games, because I wanted to have the artifacts they were creating and then do my analysis based on the progress that they had. And when I discussed this with them, that looked like, oh, we cannot do it, or it's not good, and so on. But yeah, we just need to discuss with them to find a good baseline to be able to involve them and for them to understand what we want to do as researchers. But in many other aspects, it's not only that. I just gave an example, but it's also for us to understand what is possible and what they need from the researchers and from the research to get for them to get better, to have even kind of professional development if they're interested, and all these kind of aspects. And it's not very easy most of the times, but what helped a lot is the fact that I had focus groups with them, and also I tried and I spent a lot of time and effort for them to show the outcome from our research papers, and this makes a big difference in that process. So now, yes?
First of all, apologies for interrupting. And I'm wondering, is it possible to ask you questions during the presentation?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic, great. All right. Let me make sure that I'm pointing at the right camera, so I'll be able to speak to you and direct the questions accordingly. So I find this slide very interesting, particularly because I'm exploring students who are starting to program in their first year at university. And I know you did the study with a younger population, but I see a lot of the things that could be applicable to students at first year university. So my first question is, do you think you're going to get the same findings, or are they going to be different findings? And number two, if I understood correctly, Women Encourage conference is going to be this year at your institution. There's always a hackathon at Women Encourage. It would be really fascinating if we can sit down together and discuss if we can run this experiment with groups who are doing hackathons, because the gender variation is going to be interesting, because a lot of them are going to be people who identify as women, right? So I want to see how the dynamic is working, within that particular group, and if we get even more rich findings, for lack of a better term. I'm going to let you speak now.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Yes, in general, I mean, I haven't done the same studies into the adult. Yeah, I haven't replicated or did it with adults. So I will only say what I've been reading and what I think is an answer to what you are saying. But I agree that most of the aspects and the patterns are there for both younger children and adults. But we need to be a bit careful because there is a age, there's a time when the children and maybe the terminology I'm using is not the best because they are toddlers, kids, children, and then adolescents, and then young adults, and all these aspects, which in some countries all these distinguish exists, in some others is one word for everything. But I would say since for us we have gone up to 17 years old, I would say that possibly from 16 to 17, the similarities start to be quite visible because when they are first year students, they are like 18, 19. While for the 8 years olds, no, we cannot. I cannot say that we can compare that. But overall, like this umbrella and this, if we take them into more abstract context, yes, we can say that many things can be similar. Depends on yeah. But then if you go into more details, then you can discover the differences between that. And also another thing, it depends a bit on the background of the first year students, because given that previously the first year students, they were coming from a generation that possibly didn't have so much coding at schools, then the approach in the first year, if they are in the computer science department, for example, and they have a course about a programming language or object-oriented programming or whatever, then it's different, possibly. So these are like my thoughts regarding that. Yeah, my colleagues at our group, they have published and they did studies in that target group. So you can have a look
Thank you.
and see more details about it. And the second part of what you asked was about the Women Courage conference that we will do in 2023.
Yes,
In
and I
Trondheim,
figured
yes.
it would be like really interesting to track the dynamic that is happening in the group when they're trying to solve a common problem and what problems arise and what opportunities arise as well.
Yeah, that's really nice. If you have an idea to do some data collection, possibly, please share it with us. It will be nice to see. But have you? I haven't been to that conference, to be honest. I know that Letizia Iaccheri and Kerstin Bach, who are the chairs of the general chairs of the conference, have more experience than me in that. But I haven't physically participated in the conference. It was when it was in I think not 2021. I saw online only the yeah. But have you been into any hackathon of this conference?
I have been to Women in Courage previously, and we can have a conversation later on. I can send you an email and we can discuss how we can move with this forward.
Okay, that's nice.
Fantastic.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Are there any other questions, maybe? No? Okay, then I move on to the next slide. So now I will talk a bit of some experiments and papers we have been writing recently. And the group has, again, this nice equipment, I will say, and we move towards multimodal learning analytics, which is collecting using multiple sensors and sources of data. And we did that with with kids. So I decided to put this photo here. It's the work of Serena. She's a PhD student. Actually, in 2-3 days, she submits her thesis. So that was her work. And it was, what was the context is that there was a game, a mathematics game for children, and children could see their own avatar in the screen. So it was motion-based game, and the context was about learning mathematics. So it was motion-based educational games. And again, you can see the screen here with all the tags, black and white. So the girl was wearing the eye tracking, the eye trackers, the glasses that have a camera here as well and collect everything, and also a wristband. So the wristband has a sensor and collects heart rate, skin conductancy, and everything related to this kind of data. And we had the Kinect. Kinect is a device that helps all these motion-based interaction. So every move of the child here, she was trying to grab something from the screen, which was the correct solution. And she needed to grab it and drag it down to put it into the correct place for the game. And again, it was really fascinating to collect all the data from the different sources and see, for example, the arousal of the child coming from the wristband data, the eye tracking glasses, and see where they were looking during the experience, and all these aspects, and triangulate and do research on that. It's a quite, I'm not gonna get into detail. You can read the paper. It's there are quite a lot of information on that aspect. Very interesting work. And then again, continue with this multimodal data approach. We did a study in Eindhoven University. Mats and Aletta know Panos and Gabriella. They were partners in Common Play, the project that we were all together. And we traveled to the Netherlands in Eindhoven, and we did in a school context, in a school class, an activity where children were programming using the microbits and following an online video instructor. And again, we had, if you can see in the photo, this girl has a wristband on her hand. And if you see there's a mobile phone, which is actually the device that you can see real time, the data being collected. And again, sharing a bit of the struggle and working with children is that when they were realizing what was happening, they started running to speed up not speed up, to have a higher heart rate. And then we're like, oh my God, you're destroying our data. So a lot of challenges. And also it was quite interesting to explain to them, this is part of the ethics and how we want to approach this, to explain what are the data and why we collect the data. And again, it's different how you explain it to a child, to the parent, to the teacher, to everyone who is involved, to make them understand what is this. I saw that Anna. Hi, Anna, nice to see you again.
Yes, nice to see you again. How is Madeleine?
She's good.
Yeah, I didn't see her in the photo of your group. She's not in your group, is that?
No, Madeleine was not in part of our small group, but she was part of the extended group of the Department of Information Systems and Software Engineer. But this is why I could also be the administrator of her defense, because if she was in our core group, I would have had papers possibly with her. So I couldn't be
I see.
According to the rules that we
that was a little bit beside the point. I have a question for your presentation here. So you are in this picture, you are gathering what is probably called sensitive personal data, if you think about the GDPR and ethical things. So could you do this without being online? How did you assure that you could do it according to GDPR? Do you have GDPR in Norway?
Yeah, we have, and all the studies have the permission. So we ask for permission from the Research Council, and we write exactly what are the data we are collecting, and we get the permission, and then we follow all the process to get the consent from everyone involved. And in that case, can be the school, the teacher, the parents. Also the child as well.
Yeah.
But what is interesting in this data, for example, the wristband data specifically, is that the child is not identified from the data. So it's not that you can understand, because this is the fact of GDPR, that you cannot know when you collect all the data at the end which child is which and where this comes from.
Okay.
So in a sense, they are anonymous data.
Right, because I'm struggling with another study where we do interviews and voices are.
Voices are, absolutely.
Voices are.
Yeah.
Okay, then I know. Thanks.
Yes. And also another thing is that of course this is data because we collected the video recording, so the facial expressions of the children, and the first part that I write here about the sadness, anger, and the stress, for example, it was possible to do with. I mean, it's maybe now I get a lot into detail, but it's computer vision, and you're able to extract the emotion from the facial expressions and the different action units of the faces of the children. So in a sense, we were able to have data from different sources and then do the analysis and see how they correlate or relate, or the effect and all the different aspects. Yes, so in the same, again, concept, here is a bit more technical in a sense, because we focused on something called information flow. So how the screen, how much information is on the screen, let's say it in a very generic way. And from what I was saying before, the different facial expressions, those on the right with the black and white pictures is the action units. And then you combine the different expressions of the eyes, the lips, in order to extract the emotions. And what we computed was something called joint visual attention of the team of students working together. So how much time were, in a sense, together in the task, so that they were focusing, you know, when you sit with each other and you try to solve a problem, in a sense, both of you or three need to focus on the same point to be able to say that we are together in this. And then we try to see if this joint visual attention drives the information flow, so what is in the screen, and if there is any relation with the frustration and boredom that children experience in relation to their learning gains. So that's why we say the high performing teams. So the results showed that high performing teams, the joint visual attention drives the information flow, and for the ones that didn't have so good performance, it was frustration and boredom that actually was driving the information flow. And then the information flow causes the confusion of the children. Yes, I see two hands raised.
Anna, you can go first, and then I'll.
Yeah, anyone, Anna, maybe.
Sorry, I thought you were talking. So I started to type a message to you, but I can type it later. Okay, because the emotions you're talking about, they are we have planned to use to investigate these kind of emotions through a kind of an instrument that is very well established. A researcher from Germany called Pekrun. And do you know?
Can you repeat? That's very interesting. No, I don't think I know it. Can you repeat? How is it named?
His name is Pekrun. And he, with colleagues, have developed a large instrument that is about emotions in learning situations. So, and they have positive and negative emotions, and they have activating and deactivating emotions, and they have emotions in before and during and after in test situation, and a huge instrument that has been tested in all kind of situations. But you are doing the same thing from facial recognition.
Yeah.
So I think so I'm sorry I didn't listen completely, but so where did you get this from? Have you developed this yourself? No?
No, it's like I need to check, or maybe I don't know if I can share the screen of the paper, but it is also a lot used with adults and children, this facial recognition pattern and how to extract emotions from these action units. So it's an algorithm that you run it in order to get the extraction of the emotion, and the data captured are from the videos. So if
right,
you are
not doing it manually. You are not doing
no.
Oh no.
No, it was not manually. And I now I remember that I think I know the instrument you were saying about the emotions, and then also the work of UpCERG, if I pronounce it correctly, is another author that works a lot with emotions and the valence and how they are in the X and Y coordinations.
So is that a different work than this Reinhard Pekrun?
From what I understand, I would say yes, but we need to see.
Yeah, because you can please send me a reference to that one.
Yeah. I have the reference to our paper here. Maybe I can send. Just give me 1 minute, and I will send it to the chat, so it's much easier. I guess we have time to do that. And there you can see, of course, more information on what we did exactly. It's quite the information for the data pre-processing and so on is detailed, but there are many references that you can look at and get, be directed to the ones that did it and developed it. And of course, it has its limitations as well when you have an algorithm that automatically extracts the emotions. So it would be, for example, now I'm thinking out loud, is to combine these kind of tools that you were saying and see if there is any different or different results that may occur from this.
Okay, will you send the reference in the chat?
Yes, I'm trying to find it right now.
It's when you need it, you can't find it.
Okay, let me go back to the chat. Yes, here you can find it. Yes. I see, Bedur, you have also a question.
Yeah, I just find this work particularly fascinating because, well, I haven't been officially diagnosed. I've just been through initial diagnosis, which is I'm on the spectrum, so I have Asperger's. And when I'm excited, I'm like this. When I'm upset, unlike this, right? So I wonder, in your study, how did you account for people who express their emotions differently than other folks?
Yeah, this is one of the limitations that I was also saying before, that it's not the perfect
of course.
way to do it, and it will never be. But the thing is that also we did pre-test and also in communication with the teacher as well, as part of knowing a bit our sample and the children that are part of our study. Right. So it was a qualitative approach in a sense to investigate if any of the children had any special
great.
way of attention and these things. And what else was interesting? Yeah, because many times we get also the question of what if we can find any kind of not what considered normal, I don't know what kind of word to use, from the wristband data regarding the heart rate of a person.
And did you find anything that sparked your fascination or interest or something?
No. So far, we haven't experienced any kind of any kind
Keep
of
us posted.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, that it can be a bit tricky in a sense, and also I need to ask my colleagues about, because they have been doing it with also adults and collecting more data. And if they have more information regarding that from their experience, because I haven't seen so much the raw data, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
So we can follow up in that. Yes. So now the last part, let's say, of my presentation is to talk a little bit about the research project that we have been involved, and just hear your thoughts or opinions about it. So the one that we had was the Come and Play Science. It was learning science, the fun and creative way. So we investigated coding, making, and play activities with children. It was a 3 years project. It lasted for 3 years, and it ended last year. NTNU was the coordinator, and we were 10 partners, including you, of course. And I think it was we were very lucky, and we had not only luck, but a lot of work from all the partners, and it was a quite successful project, also based on the European Union and the reviews that we got. And given that we were 10 partners, the data were quite rich, and all of the ones that were involved published a lot. And Gabriella's, for example, PhD that we did the study in Eindhoven was also part of this project, and more as well. So what in general I like to present from this project is a bit, in a sense, my preference, because for me it's nice to see after 3 years and all this work from all the partners what we can give as the next step, and also what we found out, the benefits and impact of these learning activities, because it was 10 different countries. So the sample and was quite big, and it comes from different cultures and different approaches, and it's really interesting. So here you can see in the picture some of the main aspects. So yes, we see that from these kind of activities, students at the end of the day improve their self-efficacy and self-confidence in science-related topics. And what we have been seeing is that many of the children still have this very stereotypical approach to the scientists, and they always think about a person behind a lab with the white uniform. However, it's this, and it's many more aspects that they need to think about, especially when we talk about career awareness. And for them, it's important, like self-efficacy and self-confidence, to believe that they can do it. Another thing is that, of course, we talk about the computational thinking, problem solving, coding, and critical thinking skills. So these activities can help the students and to enhance and gain skills related to that, and collaboration skills that they are important. Also the importance of failure, and we need to have to show them examples and to understand that they need to keep on going, and failure is not necessarily a bad thing. We need to find the good out of it. Enable creativity and agency as well. It was important, as we found out, that we let the children express their creativity and have also agency, so they have their own approach to things and be able to engage on what they think is good for them, not only to put them in a very strict time frame for the activity, or schedule on what they need to do and how the activity will look like. Yes, again, engagement and motivation for science-related activities, enjoyment and fun, big part of it. It appears pretty much everywhere when we talk about children. We inspire them for careers in science, again, trying to show to them all the different aspects that when you take a career in science can be like, and have role models. And the last thing was about the interdisciplinary learning, because we saw that all these activities can fit easily in different subjects, because also the skills you can acquire can vary depending on the context. Another project that just actually ended this September was an Erasmus Plus, and it was about artificial intelligence and machine learning in school education. So how now, when I started, and some of the kids didn't know about programming. Now we even talk about introducing artificial intelligence and machine learning in schools. Because again, you will see in my next slide, there are many tools that are suitable for children to learn about that. So this project was about how we can help educators and specifically school teachers to create lesson plans and incorporate this education with their children. So yeah, in general, the rationale behind it is that everyone now uses all these devices, and from a young age we need to be aware about all the algorithms that are behind everything that we use. And yes, when a child uses Instagram, or I don't know what, even YouTube, the advertisements that come out, the ads, they have a purpose. So just trying to build their awareness towards that. But it's not only that, of course, it's also for them to learn other skills as well. So these are like two of the tools that we have used. No, it's actually one. The other one I forgot to add, but it's quite well, in a sense, made, because it has also lesson plans. So anyone, any teacher or any educator who wants to design an activity for children, not only can choose the tool to do it, which uses the Scratch interface, but also they have pre-made lesson plans for half an hour, 45 minutes. They also create the materials for the kids to see. So this is also gaining a lot of attention and impact, as it's more accessible for people to do it and use this. Another project which is nationally funded from Norway, it is about digital competence in early childhood teacher education, and also how children approach coding toys and getting some, I don't know if I would say computational thinking, because we talk about kindergarten children in that phase, so 3 to 5. but at least they are engaging in with coding toys and what we call unplugged activities, that you can have tangible tools, and even you put down how do you say, in a mat or whatever with arrows, and then you have a robot that can go around. So simple instructions, and through play they can engage in that and learn. And also the focus is on how early childhood teachers are getting prepared in order to support these kind of activities, and are the universities providing now these kind of competencies for kindergarten teachers, and if yes, how they do it, and do it, because before we talk about in general digital competence, maybe for being able to use a tool or something, or an iPad that has been widely used in kindergarten. But now we see that how we can educate them to incorporate these kind of activities of coding toys with children. It's very interesting, to be honest, because for me, researching so many years about from the age of 8 onwards, now I go a bit to younger children, which is another world, and also the fact that I didn't have so much experience with teachers, because in our activities we call them instructors, like informal learning. But now it's interesting to see how this can be officially included, for example, in the professional development of the teachers. Another Horizon 2020 project that is now 1 year since it started. We are partners in this, and it's called Surrounded by Science, and wants to assess learners' progress towards science proficiency. So the focus is to develop an app, in a sense, that will support the large case studies with children when they visit museums, zoos, and they can learn about science in general. So now we don't only talk about coding, but we talk about making children aware of any kind of science activity and science learning. And we need to see how this will go. Yes, I see a question from Johan. I don't know if I pronounce it well. Yes, go ahead.
Are you
Johan?
muted? Are you?
Johan, we can't hear you. Maybe you can type the question.
I didn't check. Sorry. Is it the microphone or the raised hand was accidentally made? I don't know. Yeah, if we have anything about VR, this is a question that I many times get. Thank you for that. I don't know where this will go, because at the moment we are even we are in the first kind of phase that we understand what kind of case studies and activities will happen to design the app that the children will use. And we haven't included VR, but something challenging about VR is for the data collection we're also talking about earlier, because when they use that and then we want to, I don't know, we want to do studies on it, then we need to find a way on how we collect the data and we analyze it without any privacy issues, especially when these kind of projects are might fall into different countries and so on. But it's it's something that we will investigate and possibly include. At the moment, we have like QR codes in artifacts, as we call them. So you go in a museum and you see an exhibit, And then with the specific app, you can scan the QR code and you can either answer a few questions regarding that. So it makes you engage and read more about it in the context that they have this exhibit. Or it can even direct you to YouTube videos or other kind of sources that a child can look at, and then maybe have again a quiz or something to play with after the visit of in the museum, for example, or during with their friends or something like that, like this. And also we want to include gamification elements. So badges or something like a roadmap for a long-term use for the kids. So like they have the app and they go one day in the zoo, then the next day they go in their city to another museum, and then they use again the app and they learn even more, so they can create their identity or science proficiency as we see about. And at the end we have the data from some months of a use, and we can see if this has made a difference. But hopefully more results will come from these projects. And I think this is the last project I will talk about. It just started, only 2 months. Again, a Horizon 2020 project, and it's about design thinking with emerging digital technologies. So the focus is that we want to engage children into the design thinking process and incorporate this into the learning experience at schools. But the thing is that we will use technologies that they have properties like augmented reality, and the process of design thinking can be facilitated only from the digital technologies, because what we have seen so far is that design thinking usually has paper-based experiences, but now we want to investigate, for example, how a child can empathize, which is the first of the 5 steps of design thinking, by using a digital tool, a digital media that has a functionality, for example, like augmented reality and 3D modeling and all these aspects. It will be for 3 years, and we just started. So part of the project is also to develop an open platform. So both teachers and any kind of educators or stakeholders and also researchers can find example of these activities for kids and apply it, and also to have the developed technologies that can facilitate this process. Yes, I also included some literature here based on what we have done and what we were talking about. And one last thing I want to say is that if you know any good candidates, if you have any good master students maybe, or someone you know, we have currently 1 PhD position open and 1 postdoc will follow very soon. And the other thing is that I am a guest editor together with Gabriela Tisa and Gavin Sim in the Journal of Child-Computer Interaction about fun in learning, with deadline mid of February. So we are interested to have papers that, in a sense, research the role of fun in learning, methods, empirical studies, anything related to that. Yes, that was the end of the slides that I have prepared. I have been talking, I think, a long time. I hope it was not too much, but thank you so much.
Very impressive.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Honestly, hats off. The fact that you're involved with so many projects that are sponsored by the Horizon 2020 project. Mm-hmm. Also, it's very interesting to find out about what your department is doing. And I'm seeing a lot of names that I recognize. I'm like, oh, I'm glad they're doing okay. Oh, I'm glad they're doing something like that.
Yeah.
No, it was really good to hear, and it's also inspiring for us to hear about the different projects. And I just want to say, in connection to this slide, we're about to get the lecturer position out. Soon might not be the right word for the university, but it will be out.
Okay.
And I think lots of what you say or presented here is relevant for us as a group and for, well, actually most people, and both the seniors and the new PhD students. So it's really good. Nice to hear. And yeah.
That's great.
You're very impressive what you're doing up there.
Thank you. Thank you. It's it's a collective effort, many people, projects, brilliant minds, wonderful colleagues, and we're very happy that you like it. And also, I also agree that we have a lot of things in common, and anytime we can arrange some collaboration or keep in touch to update each other about the topics that we work on, and it will be really nice.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you. It was really, really wonderful, and I'm very honored that you asked me to present in your group. And also, I will say it again, given that now we can travel even more, it's always nice to meet people in person. And because with talking and discussing, many ideas come up. Yeah, and it will be nice to see you.
As such, I always wonder if it's possible, with your permission, to share your slides with people who I think might be interested in that as well, but they are in America. So I am going to go to a conference, which is 6CTS, Special Interest Group in Computer Science Education. And they do have a special track for K-12 students as well, and younger students as well. So it'd be great if I can put them in touch with you and then see where it goes from there.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want, I can reply to the email that Mats sent me regarding participating, and I can give you a PDF version of my slides, so you can distribute it. That would be really nice. Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I just want to say that you did a really great job. I think Michal would be quite pleased with how you presented that work up there. No, it was.
Yeah. I am very grateful and lucky that I worked with Michalis and also Letizia. It was really, really wonderful to have them as PhD supervisors and continue working with them. I think it is amazing, like from my point of view, because now we are at the same university, we can continue our work. We also collaborate even in teaching, and it's really great. And I say that I wouldn't be able to do any of these things if it wasn't for them. So, as I said before, it's a really collective effort. Yeah.
Like good platforms, and I remember I was up there when we were planning for the TICSE conference.
Oh yeah.
And well, it was a shame that you didn't get it to be on place, but Michal is really a good one in getting funding for what he wants to do, and so quite an inspiring place you're at, and really,
it's very true.
So
yeah, Thank
the
you.
message for us here. Try to keep an eye on what's going on up there and reach out and collaborate. So.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. And also we should look what you're working on and get inspired from you as well. So it goes both ways. You're a very good group and really nice people. So it would be really nice to have a collaboration and continue because we worked in common play. So we also have worked in a research project together already. Yes.
I have a question. Is my microphone working now? Oh my gosh,
yes,
thank you.
It is.
I have too many speakers hooked up to my computer. When was the call for the journal here? The role of fun in learning. Is do you have the or I was also looking at it online, but when is the call for the date? Yeah.
Yeah, it's maybe I can try to click on it. Do you see my screen? No.
No, I just see the presentation.
Okay, no problem. But it is 15th of February, the deadline.
Okay.
Yeah, I can send it in the chat. Also the link. Yes, here it is. So you can have a look at it. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, there is still time, and I mean, of course, I shouldn't maybe say this out loud, but if you really want and you are worried about the deadline, maybe you can ask and we can, like a few days of an extension if it's something that you really want to do. If the deadline doesn't work, I don't know.
If the deadline would be tomorrow, I would ask for an extension, but
no. It's 15th of February, but I just wanted to say since we are in this. I don't know if the recording is still going on. Maybe it is. This last part about